Hi, guys. This is Miss Carter. Today we're learning about pedigrees. Pedigree is one of the things that, um, pedigree and Punnett squares get confused for each other quite frequently. Excuse me. Um, the Punnett square that we looked at in the previous video, for that you're looking at one single generation of offspring. Whereas with pedigrees, if you look at the definition in Encyclopedia Britannica, um, it shows right here in human genetics, pedigree diagrams are utilized to trace the inheritance of a specific trait, abnormality, or disease. And so it's going to go over several generations, or it can go over several generations. It's not always going to be just mom and dad making the children. It's going to be then what do those children pass on and so on. Okay, so pedigree is more of a long line of inheritance, when Punnett square is usually going to be much shorter, much immediate. Okay, so when we are looking at a pedigree, um, basically the key here is that we are starting off with the same way that we do with with our Punnett square. We have the mom and the dad contributing their genetic information. So here we've got the papa cat represented by a square, and the mama cat represented by a circle. These lines here connect them. It's very similar to a family tree. Um, they're connected, and so they come down here, and this branch off of them is going to be all of their offspring. Now, from here, I could draw more, but for right now, we're just going to deal with this one immediate. So from these, from mama and daddy cat, we come down from here, and you end up with a baby boy cat here, another baby boy cat here, okay, and then you end up with three girl cats. Okay, so when we're looking at a pedigree, you're going to have usually circular circles and squares, sometimes triangles, that are going to represent the parents and then the offspring from there. Very seldom are you going to have actual words inside of them. Okay, you're going to have a table over here, which we'll see in just a minute. All right, so for example, this one here, we're just comparing the sex of the offspring, and so from the mama and papa cat, the question is what percent of the offspring are boys? Okay, so if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boys, and two of them are, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children, and two of them are boys, what percent are boys? So looking at that, it would be 2 out of 5 would be the fraction for that. And so then the percent for that, so the percent for that would be 40%, which you can figure with a calculator. Just simply take 2 divided by 5. What percent of the offspring are girls? So that would be 1, 2, 3 of them. I'm sorry, here, 1, 2, 3 of them are girls. So the fraction for that would be 3 out of 5, which is 60%. Again, just use a calculator, take 3 divided by 5. Okay, so we can use it to show something simple like this as far as male and female, the sex of the offspring, or what they're more often used for is to show genetic side of things. So when we look at one such as this, we are looking at whether or not certain disorders or disease is spread on. For example, this one here is the disorder of hemophilia, which is a blood disorder where your blood won't clot. This is typically seen as what's called a sex-linked chromosome and or sex-linked trait. And what that means is that it's usually attached to the X chromosome of a female or of a male. And in males, you have an X and a Y chromosome. In females, you have an X and an X. So If the female has it, she might be a carrier, but not necessarily have it, because you have to have it um, in order to pass it on. You have to have it on both of the X chromosomes, or in order to be able to see it, you have to have it on both X chromosomes. But for the male, it only has to be on the X. So, for example, if my male here is shaded in, that represents that he is dominant for hemophilia. That means that his blood has issues with clotting. Okay, so he is positive for that. The female here is yellow highlighted. That means that she is recessive for hemophilia. So that means it's in her DNA, but she is not showing it. It is recessive, so it is hidden. Okay, so when they come together and they have their children, kind of like what we saw earlier, we are looking at which of these children is going to actually have the disorder of hemophilia. So the father is going to pass that on, and so is the mother. So all of the boys are going to have it. Okay, if it's going to be up here, it's going to be passed on to the boy. So both of these boys have the hemophilia blood clotting disorder. Now the females, they have a fighting shot. Okay, they can have where they're just recessive for it, kind of like the mother up here, so that they just can pass it on to their children, but they do not show it in themselves. They can, however, if the dad is also a carrier for it, which we have both mom and dad here that are positive, him with it and her with just carrying it, then the female can also get it. Okay, so your question here then is, what percent of the offspring are positive for hemophilia? And that would be 3 out of 5, which we saw earlier when we do that division of 3 divided by 5 is 60%. And what percent of the offspring are carriers for hemophilia? Carrier just means that it's there, but you do not see it in them. It is recessive in 2 of the 5, so 2 out of 5 means 40%. Okay, so hopefully that helps you a little bit to understand the difference between pedigree and Punnett square, and pedigree, what it's used for.